Hey, Rhonda. Hey, Rhonda. The people say they have not seen enough of you lately. So here you are. Look at you. Look at you, sleepy little dogs. Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome once again to stately Vaughan Manor. And I have returned along with my friend Roger with another video of randomness. Another just kind of random video with random thoughts about the stuff I've been reading and the stuff I'm going to read, and the same stuff I always talk about. First, I want to thank everybody who joined along with me and Roger for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club. Thank you everybody who joined me in February to read The Prisoner of Zenda. Most people seemed to have enjoyed this book for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club. So Roger's Cheap Old Book Club was actually a success because I figured, the only people that would read this would be, me and Roger. But other people joined up with Roger's Cheap Old Book Club to read this book. And so that was a lot of fun. So thank you everybody who joined along with that. And of course, this month for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club is this book, The Forgotten Planet by Murray Leinster. So if you want to join along, hey, there's plenty of time. The month just started. And this is a pretty short book. Actually, I'm almost finished with this book already. What page am I on? I'm on page 123, which is, not that impressive, but kind of impressive when you consider that I've had barely any time to read anything the last couple days. And, that's okay because, the month's just started. And this is the March pick for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club. So, The Forgotten Planet, it's gotten mixed reviews from some of the few people who have actually finished this book. Well, who have attempted to anyway. Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads DNF'd this book and declared that this book was boring. How is that possible, Roger? Greg says this book is boring, but Adam from Disshelved with Adam White says that this book was pretty good. Adam enjoyed this book. So, mixed reviews. Like I said, I've read most of this book. Still have a bit to go. But I have not found this book boring at all. This book has its failings. This is a very pulpy science fiction book that, you can tell was written a while ago. But boring is not a word I would use to describe it. Lots of giant bug action. So it's actually a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it so far, but we'll see. Will most people agree with me and Adam, or will most people agree with Greg at Another Bibliophile Reads? We'll have to find out. The verdict is not in on The Forgotten Planet, but plenty of time for you to read it, like I said. I'm not going to do my video on this book until the end of the month. And if you want to talk about it, you can join us on Discord. There's a Discord now that was invented for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club. And other things. So there's that. So I'm reading The Forgotten Planet right now, but that shouldn't take me very much longer. So then I am going to jump right into Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel, a book everybody has read except me, it seems like. And this is another book that's gotten mixed reviews. Man, everybody seems to have a different opinion on this book. I think most people, though, by and large, I think most people seem to like it. It's fairly popular. And on BookTube, I think most people tend to like this book. There are some people that, don't like it, but I think most people tend to. So this is for Steve Donahue's book club. So that gave me a perfect excuse to read this book, to finally read this book. I have the other two books in the trilogy as well. So I'm going to read this, and it's about 600 pages. So this is going to take a bit. This is going to take a minute to read. because I don't have a heck of a lot of time to read. One of the reasons I don't have a heck of a lot of time to read is because I've been reading comic books. One of the things when I entered this year and I did my own little, resolutions for the year for myself and the channel, one of the things that I have wanted to do is read more comics, but I never have enough time. So I decided that, you know what, I'm going to make an effort, and I'm going to read a couple comic stories or a couple issues or something or other every day, and I'm going to see how long I can keep that up. Eventually, a day will come when I will not have time to read comics. But we'll see. This is my own little challenge for myself, just to see how long I can do it. And I was thinking about, well, what should I read? I've got a lot of comics. And I think, you know what? Why not read my favorite superhero? I haven't read Superman in a while. And I've never read enough Batman. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to read Batman and Superman. And so I've done a little bit of that. I read Superman #1. Yes, there's another #1 issue of Superman. They do this every few months where they'll just, restart the series with a new #1 issue, which inevitably follows some big company-wide universe upheaval crossover thing. And this issue was decent. It wasn't great, but it was okay. And I appreciate that it's kind of a back to basics kind of thing. Superman, the original Superman, has returned once again, as we knew that he would. And so it was decent. It was good. But one thing I've been reading that's great is World's Finest, that's written by Mark Waid. Now, I've read the first 4 or 5 issues of this. I can't remember. And it's one of those comics that's so good that when you finish one issue, I immediately get the next one to read it. Mark Waid, man, he knows these characters. He knows Superman and Batman, like inside out. He knows everything about them, and more importantly, he knows how they should be written and presented. And so this comic book, this version of World's Finest by Mark Waid is wonderful. Everything about this comic book is great. Everything. It's fantastic. I love it. And so I've been, like I said, I read 4 or 5 issues. I can't remember how many. 4, I think, actually. And this is great. This is great. I've read some other stuff too, but I'll talk about that in my weekend reading report probably. But after Wolf Hall, I don't know what to read because I've decided I'm probably going to, almost certainly going to bail on the Historathon, because I just don't have time for a big history book. And the only history books I really am interested in reading are giant. And there are other things I want to read more. And so I'm trying to work that out. Because I've got a few things that I'm deciding on. Stephen King, for one thing, but I think that's going to get pushed back another month. Sorry, Stephen King. And Different Seasons, which everybody tells me I need to read because it's really good. I believe you. But what about Lieutenant Hornblower? I'm a month behind on Hornblower. So really, I should read 2 Hornblowers this month, but that's not going to happen. I'm going to remain behind. But I do want to continue with the series with Lieutenant Hornblower, which everybody says is really good, who's been reading Hornblower lately. And so, yeah, I read the first one. And so I want to read this one. This one is supposed to be really good. Like I said, Lieutenant Hornblower by C.S. Forrester. That I think I really want to get to. But there's some other stuff that I might want to read. Like Hal Clement's Close to Critical for the Vintage Science Fiction Project. And also for the Vintage Science Fiction Project, there's Adventures on Other Planets, edited by Donald A. Wollheim. This looks awesome and fun. What about this book? And I'm behind on my books by booktubers, and so I need to read Monster Huntress 2 by David Wiley. Monster Huntress by David Wiley. I need to read this as well. So much stuff I have to get to, so I'm not exactly sure which it'll be or what. It depends how long it takes to finish this. And since my life is so unpredictable, It's really unpredictable, actually. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take me to read this book. This could take me a couple weeks. It could take me the rest of the month. I really don't know. It's, it's up in the air at the moment. So it's sort of hard to make plans. Which brings us to next month. And I've been thinking ahead probably because I'm on the 500 book challenge. I've been reading a lot of smaller books. Wolf Hall will change that. But there are a couple big books I want to read. So going into next month, I have to read the selection for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club, which I did not have a physical copy of, but a very kind viewer actually sent me a physical copy of next month's choice, Roger's choice for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club next month, which is New Arabian Nights by Robert Louis Stevenson. And this copy is like this really nice, it's beat up because it's ancient, but it's really cool. Got a picture of Robert Louis Stevenson there. And this was published in 1909. So this edition is from 1909 for New Arabian Nights. Of course, like every book in Roger's Cheap Old Book Club, this book is available for free. You could download it from Project Gutenberg. But I think this was I must have mentioned at some point that this was a book I didn't have a physical copy of. I must have mentioned it somewhere, although I don't remember doing it, because this person sent me this book. So thank you for doing that, person who sent me this book, and I don't know if they want me to say their name or not, so I won't. But that was cool. I think I have all of the books in Roger's Cheap Old Book Club in physical form, actually, in one form or another now that I have this. So this is one thing I have to read next month. But there are a couple larger books that have been waiting around, like some of them for a long time. One is Michael McDowell's Blackwater. So this is a big book. This is big, Michael McDowell's Blackwater. It's also kind of beautiful. Look at that cover. This was originally serialized as different paperbacks back in the 80s. And I remember I found the first part of this used and read it, but I never found any of the others. So the story has always been unfinished for me. The first part was really good. I remember that. So now I've got this big edition, which is everything. It's the whole thing. So this is a book I want to get to, and it's been kind of kicked aside all this time because it is long. It's over 700 pages, so this is a big book. But I really want to get to it. I'm thinking maybe next month might be the time. But there's also this book. This is The Time Ships by Stephen Baxter, which is another book that's been sitting around needing to be read. So I might read The Time Ships by Stephen Baxter. So we'll see. How long is this book? This isn't that long. This is over 500 something pages. So that's not that bad. Might read this next month because this is one of those. There are a few of those, books that have been sitting around waiting for me to get to. And I just haven't figured it out yet, but we'll see. I'm trying to make more nebulous plans, not be a little less solid in like, okay, I'm going to read this. My TBR needs to loosen up a little bit. Some things like this, definitely, it's Roger's Cheap Old Book Club, so I'm going to read that. And I have this cool edition of it that's over 100 years old, so that'll be fun. I'm definitely going to read this edition for sure. But yeah, those are just some thoughts that I've had and some musings about my reading. And I didn't really have anything, special to talk about tonight, so that's what I talked about. Okay, guys. I will catch you next time. Oh, and of course, there is the Edgar Rice Burroughs deep dive. I have to read The Girl from Ferris's, which I'm not particularly overly excited about, but then it's back to the Mars series with Thuvia Maid of Mars, which I have many copies of, and one of them is in this big edition here from Barnes & Noble. But definitely, yeah, the Edgar Rice Burroughs deep dive is certainly going to continue.